Show with Irish. Show with Irish. Show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison. I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing. Doing a damn thing. The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, to a camp soon ends and Navy game prep will begin in a couple days. We're turning the page. We're turning the corner. Football's almost here and it can't come soon enough. I think everybody's losing their minds. On social media, on regular media, people are talking out of turn. We got a little bit of everything going on, and it tells me we're at that point in the summer where everybody's just ready. They're just ready. We need games instead of everybody just firing from the hip. We need games, and we're getting there soon. We got some interesting position battle updates, some quotes from around the college football landscape that have to do with Notre Dame to discuss. I want to know what you guys think. Thanks for being here on a Feel Good Friday. All right. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps Johnny as well. Notifications on. You and I both know why that way you alerted every time a new episode drops. I know you don't want to miss it. Twitter. I guess it isn't even called Twitter, but I'm not calling it X. It ain't happening. So Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can locate me and the call-in lines. 312-988-15. Listen, you guys, it's an open forum. You want to talk about Notre Dame's depth chart, what you've heard reported from practice, any rumors? You want to talk about the national landscape, Notre Dame's rank, what's ahead of them in the schedule? Whatever you want to talk about, we could do it. That's what the phone lines are for. We got a couple people lined up here. We're going to do the chats to get us caught up. I'm going to go over something and we'll get to the phone lines. It looks like 480 will be the first to go. Always trying to rhyme. There's no reason not to rhyme everything. It's a good brain exercise. You just try and rhyme everything. It keeps your brain sharp. Kleenex and orange, I have trouble with. You could get there if you bend other words, but if you do it legitimate, it's very hard. Think about that. Kleenex and orange. It's hard. Oh, what do we got on the chats? Jesus, here's a rough start. Cousin Luke, my show would be fire. Well, then go start your own show. I don't know what else to say. Go start your own show. Let's see how fire it is. That's the funny thing, man. After people that come at me, you're not good at this. You don't know what you're doing. You missed this one bullet point on that episode and therefore you have no credibility. Let's see how you do. All alone, start a show all by yourself, promote it all by yourself, have no corporate backing. Let's see how far you get. It's free. Anybody could do it. It just takes a lot of work. Go for it, Cousin Luke. Your show is fire. Every minute you spend in here trolling these nice Notre Dame people that want to talk about the team, you should be spending building your YouTube channel, and we'll just see how we each do against each other. Feel free. Feel free. The internet's free, my friend. Matt Miller, good to see you. Domer Guy 88. I know many people believe Michigan is better than OSU. I don't believe that to be the case. I do understand that logic. However, OSU has dominated Michigan over the last 20 years. They would say Historically, there's no doubt that Ohio State has dominated Michigan for like 20 years. However, if you put that scope down, the last 2 years, Michigan's had their number and it wasn't even close. They out-physicaled them. They made all the big plays. That's kind of where people are going with that. Like, if you scope out, no doubt OSU's dominated. But the last 2 years, they've gotten bullied by Michigan. They have gotten bullied by Michigan. It wasn't particularly competitive. These were not like down to the wire games and then, a field goal wins it at the end and both teams played great. That's not what it's been. So the last 2 years of that short window of Michigan dominating them is why people have them ranked ahead of Ohio State, and they have the leverage right now. The further back you bring the scope, the more it balances out and then favors Ohio State. But the recency thing cannot be ignored. Cannot be ignored. I don't know why Cousin Luke is inviting himself on the show as if he's going to be a co-host. I genuinely don't understand why that thought is in his brain. Can anybody explain it to me? Domer Guy 88, Irish Nation, let's paint the house that Rock built green on September 23rd. No more red takeovers. Yeah, and again, every time I mention this message, I'm also going to follow it up with this. It is 100% absolutely imperative Notre Dame reaches the Ohio State game undefeated. If we don't, you're looking at last year all over again. If Notre Dame can't handle all 4 of those games before Ohio State, it is a sign that there's still issues and you're not having a good year. I'm sorry. When I look at this schedule, Notre Dame cannot afford to lose a game before Ohio State, period. You simply can't afford the losses with this schedule, to lose a dumb one to a team you have more talent than. So that includes anything stupid like not being able to defend Navy, or letting Tennessee State come in and outspeed you and run all over, and you do a South Florida 6-turnover performance. NC State. I'm already getting sick of the excuses. Oh my God, it's going to be hot in North Carolina at noon. Bro, you've been practicing. It's been 100 degrees and humid in Indiana. I'm sorry, but this is football. That can't be the biggest reason that it's going to be hot in early September in the Carolinas. And then Central Michigan, the always Irish tailgate. If we lose the game during that where I'm there for my tailgate, there'll never be another one again. I'm not having that on my record. So you better take care of business. I'm not having some big party inviting everybody in town to lose to Central Michigan. Are you out of your mind? It'll be the last always Irish tailgate there is. You got to get there undefeated. But hey, Marshall and Stanford happened last year. I ain't overlooking anybody. You just got to take care of business. Take everybody seriously. Oh, that's a lot of yelling 7 minutes in. Drake Bowen better be playing a bunch versus OSU. I'm hearing he's one of the next guys up. Hey, I got a question. What happened to Ziegler? All I heard, oh yeah, he's not on campus and he's gone and he might be gone all year and I don't expect him to come back. Oh, what happened? Well, no, we can't talk about that. I don't understand. Somebody tell me where the guy went to and why nobody could say anything about it. I don't understand. Where's he at? Oh, yeah, he went home and he ain't coming back this year. What? Does anybody have the story? Where'd the guy go? Like, you can't be like, oh, one of our players is just gone for the year, went home, not to return and not say why. What do you mean? I don't get it. Merriweather, depending on who you listen to or who you watch, there's some harsh reviews of Merriweather's practice performance thus far. I guess it would depend on who you're watching or reading or listening that was at practice that's talking about it. But we'll get to it. But those wide receivers got to crank it up. They got to crank it up. There's been more than one practice here where the defense is winning every rep and the receivers aren't getting open. And when Hartman throws them open, they're not catching it. So it's not a great sign. You got a lot more athletes in that wide receiver room, but they all got to perform. So I don't know. Oh, man. Jay Lehman, using the block function so early on a Friday morning. I'm okay with it. I'm assuming that's cousin Luke. He resides in his own universe, and he makes up realities that are only real to him. Like, I don't know what else to say, man. Jay, it's game prep time for the teams, players, coaches, logistics, trainers, and yes, the fans. 2 weeks. We need it, damn it. I am ready for football. I am sick of watching and reading everybody lose their minds. It's the time of the year where you can say whatever you want. Nobody checks yet. We just need games. We need to start getting answers to all these questions. We need to start figuring out who's running their mouth and who's right or wrong about what they're running their mouth about. I'm telling you what. Andrew Gilmore, Happy's older brother. Good to see you. What was Pat's argument last time? Ohio State really isn't that good because they haven't won as many titles as Bama. That's crazy argument. I do think the Big Ten in its current form is overrated. You fellas are some of the haters. Stop trolling Mr. Cotter. He's a very intelligent individual. Well, he certainly is. Like, there's a reason that if I was going to have anybody as a co-host, I'm not going to pick somebody random. You need somebody you know that can put together an old and intellectual argument on the fly, and you need a guy with a little edge to him. I'm not going to lie. You need a guy with a little edge to him, or the show's boring, just like a bunch of other ones are, where they speak to you monotone about the X's and O's and what Notre Dame should do, and then by the end of it, you're asleep. Okay? Andrew Gilmore again. Apparently, Navy is going to try and throw more. They're dumb if they do that. There's a running clock this year after first downs. Teams like Navy win when they shorten the game. It's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. And if they try and pass the ball more, it's a big risk reward for Navy. If they catch Notre Dame sleeping on the back end or even the middle creeping up, you could burn Notre Dame. How often can you do that in a game, though? To me, I am building an allowance for 0 of those breakdowns. You have all summer to work on Navy prep. I am not having one of these plays where all of Notre Dame's defense is sucked up to the line to block the run game, stop the run game. And it's a fake-a-rooney Navy special. And all the Notre Dame guys are up at the line, and we burn them deep. And a 4'5" guy not named Drew Pine is on the back end running into the end zone. 0 tolerance, none. 0 tolerance, none. You can't allow it. I can't have it. I don't want to see it. I don't want you to be it. Cannot happen. I have a 0 tolerance allowance policy for broken down defensive plays against Navy. There is no excuse, especially when you got all August to get ready for them. Not 1 week and a few practices and you got to figure out how to defend the fullback. No, you got all summer. All summer. Domer guy, his argument was OSU beating up a weak Big Ten conference as opposed to Bama and the SEC. Which OSU is an SEC team in a different conference. Not quite. Just physically a little different, but I get the point, Domer guy. Let's see. OSU has proven they could beat and play with anyone, no matter who they play in the regular season. Yeah, I mean, that's accurate. They have a top 3 talented roster every year. Certainly accurate. Man, this is such a good beat. You know how we do it. It's just one of those beats. You hear it and you just imagine you're in like a lowrider in California driving by the ocean or something. It's just, it's one of those beats that it's so simplistic and smooth and 90s G-Funk era. it just brings you to that moment. You just feel like you're cruising in Dr. Dre's lowrider, something along the beach. Like it's just the perfect cruising beat. I love that song. I absolutely love that song. C. Jones, what's going on? 15 days till kickoff. I feel positive momentum from camp heading towards Dublin. I go Irish. I mean, I want to see it. I want to hear it. I need positive momentum that continues to be positive even when the season starts. It's a bad argument because Ohio State really should have beaten Georgia. They were up 2 scores in the third quarter. Harrison got hurt and the Ohio State offense fell apart. That is accurate, but I am still I can't look over what Michigan did to them. Like, I just can't ignore that. Michigan has their number right now. It's like Michigan got serious about playing Ohio State and the last 2 years built their entire world building their team to match up with that team. And it just bothers me. But yeah, I mean, Ohio State was really close, even with an ugly loss, of pulling it all off last year. It's rough. 4-8-0, you're going to be first up. Ohio State has been the superior team versus Michigan the past 20 years. I think OSU, Bama, Georgia, and Clemson should all be rated higher than Michigan, as they would all likely be favored to beat Michigan on a neutral field. Yeah, again, nobody can deny Ohio State's been the superior team for 20 years. What matters year to year, though, does kind of matter, like those trends. And that's, again, where I'm like, they could be better overall the last 20 years. But in the time window we're in now, the last 2 years heading into this one, Michigan owns them, and it has not been pretty. And it upsets me to say, because you know how I feel about Michigan, but I got to be honest, they bullied them around it. It's been impressive in that game. It's been impressive in that game. Justin Jenkins, good to see you. Good morning, sir. Good morning to you. 3 teams receiving a lot of preseason hype: LSU, Florida State, Texas. People are trying to convince themselves Texas is going to be Bama. If that happens, Reese will already be on the hot seat. Well, here's one thing to think about. LSU and Florida State play Labor Day weekend. They're the Sunday night game. And I actually think, you guys, I think we should go live for that. Have it streamed or what's going on, and then we react live. I got to figure out the logistics. I think that'd be very, very fun. But LSU and Florida State play right away. So right away, you're going to find out which of those teams are ready to compete. Texas, if they beat Alabama, I can't wait to see the reaction from all of the Alabama people. See how they feel about their new Notre Dame coaches and players. That would be very, very interesting. And then this is bugging me, you guys. Michigan. I have seen story after story after story about this is the year Michigan can win it all, this and that, and how good they are, and their quarterback's amazing, and their running back's speaking out of his ass. We'll get to that in a minute. He's speaking out of the side of his mouth, out of turn, out of line. All these national stories are building up Michigan, and I don't see a damn one of them in any of these paragraphs saying they are significantly aided by a high school schedule. I don't understand. You want to praise Michigan for what they built and beating Ohio State and winning the Big Ten a couple years in a row. Those are all legitimate things you could give them credit for. But when you're talking about how good they are, what they're going to do, they can win a championship this year and all that, when you start speaking like that, I think you have a journalistic obligation to mention they have one of the easiest schedules in the entire country, maybe besides Georgia. You got to mention it. It's disingenuous to be writing these articles propping up Michigan and failing to mention they play 10 high schools out of 12 games. Say that they look like they're set up for a great year. You got to mention they play nobody. Till mid-November is the first time they play a team with the talent that should be able to compete with them. It's a joke. And then let me get out of this. One. I know what you're going to say, Mr. Big Ten fan, Mr. Michigan guy. It's not our fault that we're in the Big Ten and none of these other teams we play are any good. Don't blame us for that. I can't blame you for that. but it still needs to be acknowledged that it's the reality. You still need to acknowledge that it's the reality. That is not blaming, but it needs to be mentioned. You have a joke freaking schedule. All right? And the other reason I don't let these Michigan people go, John, it's not our fault these other Big Ten teams suck, and that's the draw we got. It is your fault. You scheduled junior highs into non-conference now. It is 100% Michigan's fault that they went out of their way to cancel Power 5 non-conference games and only play high schools. That is a decision. That is a choice. That is the Michigan administration knowing they are not going to get a ding on their credibility for doing it that way. They know damn well in a Power 5 conference like the Big Ten, the committee is not going to hold those non-conference cowardice scheduled games against them. So they're taking advantage of it. So never let a Big Ten Michigan guy tell you, well, it's not our fault the Big Ten, other teams aren't that good. What about the non-conference? You're scared to play anyone. Anyone. Those things have to be mentioned. Give Michigan the credit for what they've accomplished and what they're open to do this year. But you have got to mention all of the sides of this. The cowardice non-conference helps some, and the Big Ten schedule is a joke. Penn State, middle November, is the first game they play anybody with real talent. It needs to be acknowledged that it's a joke. This is another reason that I kind of like the expanded playoff, because if you're going to have these teams not being penalized for playing nobody, man, it's hard for a team with the actual tough schedule to make it then, when they actually play good teams week in and week out. At least this allows for the team scheduling and playing nobody to make it, and some teams that maybe catch a loss but play a great, tough, competitive schedule can get in too. ND should just start its own conference. The problem with that is, who would be in it? The only people that would be in it are teams that don't have a good home on their own, or they're lower level, or they're not in a Power 5 already. That's the issue. If Notre Dame started its own conference, unless you were able to convince Penn State and Miami and some of these teams that used to be independent to be independent again and join you and share TV revenue off that, like, that's the tricky part. I don't want to have a Notre Dame conference and we're picking up the military schools in Stanford because they need a home. That doesn't intrigue me, right? Justin, the top choice for Fighting Irish Voice, Johnny Boy, be here or be somewhere else, because we ain't going nowhere. We're going to be here. I'm telling you, on these, I'm already thinking about what I want to do for the game weeks, you guys. I'm not kidding you. I think we're going to have most of these game weeks where we go live for the Friday morning show like usual. And then I also think we need to do a Friday night late nighter. I do. I think we need to do a Friday night, late night pregame special where everybody's got their anxiety up on a Friday night. We need to do that show on a Friday morning, a Friday night, and then we're going to go live right after the game on Saturday. You want Notre Dame coverage? You came to the right place, because we got plenty of it for you. Anyone else concerned about the interior O-line? Only every waking minute of my existence, I have been burned too much by falling for O-line U, and then the season starts and they're getting turned around and worked over and bull rushed and confused, and you run the ball for 50 yards. I've seen it too many times from O-line U. I'll never get over it. It just bothers me to my core. It's embarrassing for me to hear the O-line U thing, and in the biggest games of the year, we can't run the ball or block for the quarterback or do anything. That we must have vastly different descriptions of what O-line U means and how you get to that status. You get to O-line U status because in the biggest games you play against the best competition, you are able to dominate, run the ball, and protect your quarterback. We don't do that. We don't do that. Are you out of your mind? We don't do that. We don't have a history of doing that. So I just, whatever. But I've been saying all offseason, oh, yeah, the tackle's the great. Well, yeah, the Twin Towers of tackle terror. What about inside? If that doesn't hold up, you're screwed. So I got concerns with that. And I'm not listening to people go, oh, John, they did good against Central Michigan. I feel like it's good against Ohio State. No, that's the first test, unless you fail one before it. Like the first 4 games, they're not that test. It's Ohio State. But if you let me know you're failing the test early, it's going to register in the first 4 weeks. O-line, you, by definition, must mean against the best teams in the biggest games, your O-line is holding up. When exactly has that been the case for Notre Dame? I'm just asking. I'm sorry. It offends my football sensibilities. I don't know how that could be what you're known for, and in the biggest moments, it's failed you. It always bothers me. Always bothers me. Tobias has a lot to prove. I don't know, man. It sounds like the staff was really counting on him emerging, and I just that body and his ability and how long he is, he could get down the field. It's just a problem of getting open and catching the ball, which are kind of a big deal. If those things are important to you at all, it's kind of a problem. 480, I got you. Dr. John. Good morning, John. We'll try to pay attention while working on Ireland itinerary. Figure out which of them Irish pubs you're hitting and when, Dr. John. Eric Tomo, good to see you. The Chief. We got the Chief. Brody, what's going on, Chief? Nick Dean, it's good to be heard and seen. That's for sure. Taj Murphy, what it is. What's going on? V1 Rotate. That's a $10 holler right back into the phone bank. Thank you very much. Side note, Arizona State seems to love Drew Pine. I saw an interview with him at camp. He seems to love it there and his teammates. And might be the starter. Glad this chapter can close on a good note. That's a $10 holler, and I appreciate it from V1. Here's my perspective on this. Never at any point in time did I harbor any ill will towards Buckner or Pine. Never. Like, their situations at Notre Dame were really not their fault. Buckner had bad timing and bad injury and more bad timing and more bad injury, and I felt bad for him that nothing lined up for him. And for Drew Pine, he is just going to have certain physical limitations that are never going to be undone. Like, it's like the Rudy movie when they're like, God made certain guys to be football players, and I'm not one of them. Like, Drew Pine is just going to have a ceiling and be limited at a certain point. And I'm not trying to be arrogant when I say Notre Dame requires a quarterback with a higher ceiling than what Drew Pine could ever provide at the level Notre Dame's at and where we're trying to be and who we play and everything. You need a guy with a higher ceiling than Drew Pine. And so I wish him the best. I think Arizona State might be a really good fit for him. He's not my problem anymore. So I hope he starts and they like him and he does well. And if they start him and he doesn't do well, it's no longer my hair falling out and I don't care. But I want him to win the job and play. Travis Shuttlesworth, what's going on with that OH? Oh, no. Eric with that $20 holler. Appreciate you, baby. John, do you want me to negotiate directly with the ND Brass to get you that press pass? I could sell snow to an Eskimo, baby. I could deliver. I think I'm working on it on my own. But it is a process when you are me and you say some of the things you do about Notre Dame over the years. I think they keep tabs of that stuff. They're aware of what goes on. Kleenex, FedEx. Rhymes have to be this. They can't be the same word. Nex and X. Maybe that is a good one. Orange. I don't have a good one for orange. Nick, did you see Urban gave Ryan advice on how to beat Michigan? He apparently needs some, bro. Who the hell is the left guard? Who the hell is the left guard? Who in the hell is the right guard? Are we going with Rocco's Modern Life and the Cougar? This is a little wild. These are not names running with the ones that we all thought were going to be running with the ones. It's not the lineup at O-line of a lot of people thought we were getting. Does that concern you? Do you trust Rudolph, the new red-nosed reindeer at O-line? What are we doing? I'm telling you guys, interior O-line, I got problems. Oh, man. Pat says, why am I being dragged into this stupidity? I've only been in one show in 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't know why Cousin Luke brought you up, and then people are saying you're kind of mean. But then again, that's why I like you, Pat. If you were a nice pushover, we wouldn't have the relationship we do. A part of the reason that I love you is because you're mean about certain things. Oh, Irish Gordian Knot, what's going on? James Dowling, read the article on the left guard battle yesterday. Regardless of who gets the start, we have a good player there. That's fine. Prove it. Prove it. I don't want to see those midget guys that live in submarines for the Navy confusing you, and they're doing a little spin move and our guy's off balance and all these little guys are piling on our quarterback. I'm not doing that. I ain't nobody here for that. I am not here for that. Cannot be the case. Cannot be the case. Mark Kramer. Hi, John. Love the show. Well, I love you being here. I really appreciate it. There is no show without you guys. Everybody needs to know that. Beefeater NDL8. John, let's get down to your real favorite sport. How is ND's men's soccer team looking this fall? I don't know nothing about soccer, man. It just seems like a lot of running. Like, I never played soccer. And if I did in recess or whatever, I said, I have good hand-eye coordination. I'm being the goalie. I have such good hand-eye coordination. I'm not wasting it running around kicking stuff. You put me in the goal and I'll catch everything or deflect it. Like, I wasn't trying to be out there running 80 miles. Soccer's too much damn running. And you take one leak and you miss maybe the only action of the game where they score a point. You can't even take a leak in this sport. Unbelievable. James, I've been to one Always Irish tailgate. It was for the spring game. Pretty sure we won. That is a good start. I'm at least 1-0. Thank you for giving me that. Adam says, personal issues. Domer Wop, $2 holler. Thank you very much. Small contribution to the clock batteries. Dr. John's going to appreciate that. Adam saying personal issues with Ziegler. Yeah, I know. I want to know what they are that makes you leave and not come back for a year. What do you mean? And I'm still waiting for an answer on the strength and conditioning guy. What happened with his personal issue? I'm not trying to be in everybody's business, but it's kind of being glossed over that one of our players is just gone, not coming back for the year, bro. I want to know. Merriweather's a gamer. Listen, I'm open to that. I am open to that concept that certain guys, they're not going to look great in camp or in a practice, and when the bright lights come on, they ball out. I'm all fine with that, but it has to be proven. That's the issue. Where we're at in this moment in time, Merriweather has not proven he could do that. If he turns into that this year, and the first 3 weeks, he's getting open and making diving one-handed catches and scoring touchdowns and is a reliable deep threat for Hartman and all that. If he's doing all that, then I don't care what it looks like in practice from now on. But as we sit right now, practice is all we have to go by. And I'm here and doesn't get open and doesn't catch it when Hartman drops it where it needs to be. I don't like them reports. I don't like them reports. Oh, Stephen Arado, Morning Irish Nation, touchdown Johnny, celebrating another trip around the sun. 2 weeks till a 53-10 Navy beatdown. 53-10 would be just gorgeous. Think about that. 53-10. I got you, callers. I'm almost caught up. 53-10 tells you Notre Dame's offense is out of the gates hot early, and it tells you the defense had no issue handling anything Navy's going to throw at them. That is a beautiful picture you paint, and it's exactly what I need to happen. Some guy said Buckner was winning in the spring. I will never forget that. And I went in here and I told you to your face. Pull up the videos. I told you to your face. I don't believe it. They are lying to you to keep Buckner engaged and around and not to transfer. It was super obvious that was what was going on the entire time. Am I telling you Buckner didn't have moments early that he looked better than Hartman when Hartman was first coming in trying to? No, I am not saying there were not moments Buckner looked better, but we all knew he wasn't going to start over this guy. So good point by Adam on going with all of that. Oh, yeah. Brandon Fry, good to see you. I'm going to be so mad if all we've needed some years is a QB and we finally have a solid QB and our receivers might let us down. I'm going to tell you this right now. Sam Hartman did not transfer to Notre Dame for this 6th year to try and increase his draft stock, to have a bunch of wide receivers that cannot get open, aren't physical enough, and don't go up and catch the ball. That guy is going to hate his life. And this decision, if he's putting the ball where it needs to be and they're just not catching it or they don't get open enough. So I don't know. $2 holler, 53, 10 ND in 2 weeks, 55 years old today. Well, then why don't we make it 55 to 10 and round that off for your birthday? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Irish Gordian cannot. Ultimately, our great CB room is going to make the wide receivers better. There won't be very many CBs that will go against that are better than Hart and Morrison. Here's I think it was the blue and gold guys put it this way. If you want to tell me the wide receivers are struggling because Notre Dame is an exceptional corner room, you can say that. However, what these guys were saying is it can't be on 100% of the snaps. Like, even if you want to say Notre Dame's corners are really, really good, it cannot mean that every single pass play the defense wins. When you have Hartman throwing the ball and that's the result, that ain't good. That ain't good. There's no way these guys are that dominant that no plays can be made. Like, I don't think so. Pat is Skip Bayless. Domer guy, Pat's mean to a lot of people. Don't worry about it. Like, that's just how he is. I wouldn't take it personal. He's mean to a lot of people. Pat's steadfast in his opinions. Let's put it that way. If Navy tries to pass more, they're going to get blown out. I hope so. Kleenex, see Knicks? Knicks and necks don't rhyme. Necks and Knicks those don't rhyme. We're bending the rule. Brandon says perfect schedule gives us time to work everything as long as you navigate it right. As long as you navigate it right, then I'm with you. This 4-game ramp up should be beautiful. You get through the Navy weirdness. Then you have a more normal game against Tennessee State. I expect them to have speed, but be severely undersized. You should be able to round into form then. NC State should be your first test of any level of physicality. That will be the first game where you're matching up against some guys that can actually line up against Notre Dame and physically present them a challenge. And then you come home for the Always Irish tailgate, and you should clean things up, round into form, blow them out, and be sitting flying high at 4-0, arrow pointing straight up. That's the roadmap. That is the only roadmap I deem acceptable entering Ohio State. If the roadmap is Notre Dame's lost the game in the first 4, then the whole vibe and dynamic of Ohio State's totally ruined. And it's disaster, save the season mode, must win to save the season. That is not the vibe that we want. Also, if we barely beat Tennessee State or Navy or Central Michigan, I got to see why and what that looks like before I determine my freak out level entering Ohio State. Crying belly. Someone explained to me how 5-star Tyler Buckner, Elite 11 finalist, 4-star Drew Pine, Elite 11 4-star Kenny Minchie, 5-star CJ Carr, and Sam Hartman is bad QB recruiting. I don't know who's saying it's bad. I mean, Buckner was bad luck. I don't know what anybody can do about that. I don't care if Drew Pine was a 19 star. You should have seen in high school he didn't have the physical gifts needed to be the quarterback in Notre Dame, the starter. If you are his size, you need to be Michael Vick's speed, or I don't think I'm interested. I'm sorry. The guy couldn't even throw passes to get him past the line half the time. I'm not trying to be mean to him, but if you're that size, you need to have an exceptional trait to make up for it. What was Drew Pine's exceptional trait to make up for his small stature and not big arm? He didn't have an elite trait. So that one I don't understand. You got to be fast if you're that small, or have a rocket for an arm. He doesn't have either. So I don't get that. Navy DBs are in trouble in 2 weeks. Oh my God. Do you know how much I want to see that? Do you know how much I want to see Sam Hartman dumping bombs all over, through the middle, up the seam, crossing routes, over the top? I need to see it, and I want to see it. I want to freaking see it. All right, let's get caught up. Kale Mendenhall, good to see ya. Hunter Morse, what's going on? It's easy to take your rival seriously when you play no one up to that game. That's another good point. That's another thing people say when I get mad about the Michigan thing is, well, when they get in the playoff, they're going to have to prove it against the best teams. Right, but you allow them, through the nature of the joke schedule, to build so much artificial confidence that it's an advantage. When you play nobody for 10 weeks in a row, you're going to build confidence, and confidence is invaluable. I can't put a dollar amount on what it's worth to be confident. And when you play nobody and you're not challenged, you're just building confidence every week. It just all bothers me. You're big, bad Michigan, and you just don't get challenged. Oh, John, Michigan State, big rivalry game. They are, you know what? Mel Tucker, oh, he was a big tough guy the first year, whatever. They're going down again. They can't recruit enough talent to compete with Ohio State or Michigan, probably even Penn State. Give me a break with that Michigan State. I know it's a rivalry game, but they don't have nothing going on the recruiting trail. Get serious. Angela Rudiger, good to see you. How about RJ Young placing Colorado in the top 20? Whatever. They're getting all sorts of heat and all kinds of smoke, and they sold out their season tickets in 2 minutes and all that. I think they're going to be bad at football, though, if that matters to you. I think they're going to be bad at football. Kale, what's going on? Mark with glasses. What's up, buddy? Mark with glasses on Twitter did a Always Irish promo video inputting me into the show Breaking Bad. And it is quite fantastic, the work he did inserting my show into a scene of Breaking Bad, which is one of the best TV shows of all time. I get as much satisfaction when these teams we all hate lose as when ND wins anymore. Yeah, that's where I've been at for like 20 years. I have football hatred in my heart, and it fuels me. It does. I totally agree with you. Us winning is just a baseline expectation. I get a sick amount of joy of watching other fan bases that ran their mouths be miserable. Do you know how much joy I get scrolling Twitter when one of these teams that all they do is run their mouth loses a dumb game? Probably it feels the same as other people looking at us as Notre Dame fans. All right, let's get caught up here. Make sure I didn't miss any chats. I think any supers. I think we're all good there. All right, let's we got a few phone calls. 480-618-260. You're going to be among the first ones up. All right, let me do 2 minutes of my thing just to get it into the ether, and then we'll take some calls. All right. Here's number one. Practically with the football, what's going on with these guards? What's going on with these guards? It looks like it's going to be Rocco now taking over on the right and the Cougar on the left. No Billy Boy. That's not what we were expecting. And I genuinely want to know where you're at with that. Trust Rudolph and his evaluations, and these guys have won the battles, whatever, or do you have doubts about that? Well, whatever. So I want to know what you think. And the other thing is Rudolph has no track history here. So that's a part of this where it's hard for people to just probably blindly trust a guy they've never seen the results at Notre Dame before. I just want to know where you're at with that, because I have been saying all damn summer, I've been saying the middle of this offensive line worries me. It just does. We all love the tackles. What happens in the middle, it makes me nervous. And that goes for center and both those guards. I don't trust them in big game situations to move the pile in the run game and protect the quarterback until they prove it. And then if they prove it against Ohio State, I'm all in. O-line, you can live if you dominate Ohio State. But you're not going to tell me you're O-line you the first 4 games and then run it for 74 yards against Ohio State, and then people tell me we're O-line you. That's not what it means, people. Not what it means. And then I've been hearing a lot about how our wide receivers are not making enough plays right now. Yeah, the line takes time. I'm going to try and not get triggered. How much time does the line take exactly? The line takes time, and that's why we lost to Ohio State last year. Not okay. You don't have time. There is no time. The time is now. There is no practice games in college football. You have no time. You have to be ready to win game 1. And if it isn't perfect and you don't have all your timing and all your blocking all synced up or whatever, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be good enough to win with and not get the quarterback killed. I am not saying it has to be perfect early in the year, but it has to be good enough you can still win and you're not getting your quarterback on a stretcher. And I think that's perfectly fair. But I don't like this, bro. I have no patience. Oh, the offensive line takes time. How much time? 2 losses? So then by the time they got it going, it doesn't matter because you're already dead? I'm not listening to that. I'm not listening to it. Takes time. How much time? Just enough time to ruin your season? Why didn't Ohio State's line take time game 1 last year and they beat us and they started running the ball in the second half? I'm just telling you, it takes time. It didn't take Ohio State's line time to run us down the second half last year, did it? So it isn't all equal that it takes time for everybody. Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose early in the year. It takes time. All these damn excuses. Like, I understand it takes time to gel and to have the rhythm all perfect on the O-line. All right? I get that takes time. You need to be able to win while you're figuring that out. On one hand, all the Notre Dame people, O-line you, O-line you, O-line you. And on the other hand, we're making excuses. It takes time. Which is it? If you're O-line you, it should take no time. Kill them. I'm sorry. It's just a pet peeve. We either have standards and expectations for this group or we don't. You don't get to be O-line you and then not be great. Gel. Yeah, I'm going to put some gel in my airline that's falling out worrying about this. Takes time to gel. How many losses am I supposed to wait for that to kick in? Oh, well, I'm really happy. Week 8 when we had 3 losses. The O-line gel. Don't you feel better now? After the season's ruined? No, I don't. O-line you. Oh, we're O-line you. How many yards did you rush against Georgia? 52, but we're O-line you. Are you out of your freaking mind? O-line you, and you're rushing it for like 50 yards in the big house. Oh, yeah, O-line you. You're out of your mind. Son of a gun. All right. Let's bring it down. Jacob says I'm going to run off the road. I don't want to cause you any accidents. I'm just saying this stuff pisses me off. You don't have time. You don't have time. Unless you're Michigan, then you have 10 weeks of time. This stuff just bugs me. Ryan says serenity now, right when I'm literally losing my mind. I'm sweating now. O-line you, but we can't run the ball against the best teams we play. We're O-line you. Said nobody ever. Nobody ever could have the balls to say that. We're O-line you and we're tough guys and everything. And in the biggest games we play, they don't do anything. All right, back to my notes and end of the call so I can have a stroke in peace. These wide receivers need to make plays. These wide receivers need to make plays. I am hearing that the defense is dominating and these guys aren't getting open, and when they are, they're not catching the ball when Hartman puts it right where it needs to be. That is a joke, and it's just not good enough, okay? Figure it out. All I know is Sam Hartman didn't come here to try and increase his NFL stock for a bunch of guys to not get open and drop it. Figure it out. I am hopeful it'll all look better when we actually get going into games, but I don't like hearing that. I don't like hearing that from the notes, okay, from the people at these practices. And the guys that I go to for this information, they don't have a huge ego. It isn't all about them. Like, they're pretty neutral about their takes, and that's what I'm being told. So whatever. Yeah, seek and destroy. Be careful with that. Johnny the Stroke Kennedy. A lot of people in here probably already think I'm a stroke, but not a medical one. All right, not a medical one. But there's a lot of people that probably agree with that, but just not in the way you're saying it. Here's the other thing I want to report about practice. The D and the D line are a strength now with depth. A healthy rotation on the defensive front? Wow, I hope so. That's the reports, you guys, is that the defenses look great, and they're always ahead of the offense when you're installing things in the summer. I get that. That's the way football's gone forever. All right, I get that. But when I got these people saying that the defensive line and the defense is going to be a strength, I mean, I still feel pretty good about the offense no matter what. That's great to hear, but I believe it when I see it. Sink that ship. All right, one more thing, and then I'm releasing it to the callers, and you guys can have the show. I'm having a rough morning here. Things are getting to me. I said in the run-up to this video that I spoke too soon about something, and I'm going to explain what that is right now, okay? So, up until the last couple days, I have been saying I haven't seen a lot of Notre Dame involved in this conference discussion stuff. People saying, where's Notre Dame in the Big Ten? No. What's Notre Dame going to do? I haven't seen a lot of that. And I was saying that's a good sign for Notre Dame. Confident that their TV deal is going to be good and they don't need that. And they're not even exploring it and whatever. And I was just genuinely surprised Notre Dame wasn't coming up more. Well, I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon. Because now, out of nowhere, everybody's running their mouths about Notre Dame. Now, let me give you two sides of this. To be fair, Johnny Fairness here. On one side, you got Chip Kelly saying, maybe Notre Dame has it right. being independent in football and then having a league, a conference affiliation for all of the other sports and the non-revenue generating sports and all that to have all that set up. Chip Kelly's saying maybe Notre Dame has it figured out, and maybe we should just do this where the big football teams are like independent and we all share a TV money pool for more equity. And then you have all the other sports, fencing, on guard, whatever else you're doing. Then you have those in a conference and do it that way. And so you got Chip Kelly going, maybe Notre Dame's figured it out because the football part of this is so different than every other sport and the revenue's different. And it is the thing that drives those big decisions that trickle down and affect everything else. And the idea is like, yeah, maybe Notre Dame has it figured out and everybody should do it this way. And then we all share the TV pool. So there's more equity in that. And all these conferences aren't ruined chasing a TV down. So you have that perception from Chip. That's a $5 holler from Pat. Thank you. Didn't mean to cause a Friday stroke. Happy to have that discussion in more depth. Have to drop. God bless and go Irish. Yeah, I have to drop now too. After that rant, $5 holler, Pat. Love you. Thank you. Appreciate you very much. Okay. So you have Chip Kelly bringing up that maybe Notre Dame has it figured out. All right. Then you got a bunch of college football media people that have never covered Notre Dame. I've never seen them cover Notre Dame before. They're in SEC country, whatever. They never talk about Notre Dame. And then they got anti-Notre Dame hot takes. I got all these people that I never hear talk about Notre Dame that cover these conferences. Now they're all running their mouths. Oh, why does Notre Dame get to be independent and all that? It's all bugging me. People are getting desperate for summer clicks. We just need damn football games. But I got all these media people from everywhere. Everybody should just ban Notre Dame, not play them anymore, make them join the conference. Here we are over there minding our own business. And everybody's worried about us. I don't know why. We haven't changed nothing. Worry about all the other people pulling the rug out on their own conference members for more money. So you got the media people riding Notre Dame and these stupid people, whatever. Then there's this from Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen's out here saying, hold Notre Dame responsible for all these conference problems. He says that conferences should force Notre Dame to join a conference and say you're not getting access to the playoff if you're not in a conference. Mullen's saying, make them join to either strengthen the ACC or save the Pac-12. Somehow he's saying it's Notre Dame's fault. Notre Dame's fault. Number one, the COVID year. Notre Dame's a big part of what made football happen at all that year. Notre Dame haters or not, if you watched your team, Notre Dame helped that happen. Don't forget it. Number two, Mullen's theory is flawed, and here's why. Notre Dame is the least to blame for all these issues because they are the most consistent group in the mix. Everybody knows who Notre Dame is. Everybody knows what Notre Dame is. There's no threat of Notre Dame leaving to backstab somebody in football and ditch a conference for more money, and it screws everybody else and all that. Will you pull a surprise move and leave like Texas and Oklahoma did, leaving everybody else screwed, holding an empty bag? Notre Dame's the only ones playing it straight. You know where we stand because it's exactly where we stood and nothing's changing. Notre Dame's the ones you can rely upon because you know right where we fall. So to me, Notre Dame should be revered in this matter because you may not like their position, but at least it's a consistent one. One that you could bake into the equation and know what you're dealing with. Everybody else are the ones that are leaving for bit quicker money and leaving their conference to die. So you want to put this moral guilt trip on Notre Dame? It's the other way around. We're the only ones being true to our position. And everybody else is doing something else to better their money and screw everybody else who they used to be their partners in their conference. So Notre Dame's the only ones being consistent here. Leave us out of this. Blame the conference members. Blame the people negotiating these bad TV deals. Blame these teams that are leaving their conference higher dry for more money. Leave us out of this. We're the only ones who pick a lane and stay in it. If anything, Notre Dame should help everybody else figure it all out because at least we're consistent. Number 3, why wouldn't Notre Dame want a team like Stanford to land in a Power 5? We're getting a bunch of heat on why is Notre Dame pushing for Stanford to get accepted into the ACC? Why does Notre Dame care about that, but they don't want to join or whatever? Why wouldn't Notre Dame want a high academic institution we play every year to be in a Power 5 instead of have to drop down? It's completely logical. You people are stupid asking, I don't understand. Why is Notre Dame pushing for Stanford in the ACC? What do you mean? Would you rather a team we play every year drop down to the minor leagues or be in a Power 5? It makes perfect sense that Notre Dame would push for them to be in the ACC for financial and athletic reasons. That makes perfect sense. So I don't get it. But it's just funny to me. All these people trading seats, trading places, screwing and backstabbing their own conference affiliate members. Okay? Screwing their own people. And these people have the audacity to blame Notre Dame for all these problems when we're the only ones who have picked a path and held steadfast. It's illogical. It's illogical. All right? All right, let's go to the calls. I need a little break. I'm sorry. I need a break. I think you guys, the season's upon us and it's getting to me. I want some answers. All these questions we have, I want damn answers. We're going to get them in a couple Saturdays. I want it. Give it to me. I don't know what's happening today. I am worked up. All right, 480, you've waited forever. It's your time, 480. I'm going to let you go. My mistake.
John, over here cracking up, man. You going in this morning.
I'm sorry, man. All these things are pissing me off. All these things are pissing me off, man. They're just every next bullet point has something that pisses me off.
Oh, man. Hey, listen, man. I just pissed off some Ohio State fans on this post on Facebook. They posted the schedule, and I said 10-2. I said taking the L in South Bend and in Ann Arbor. Man, they are going crazy, man. But I don't care, man. I like stirring up the pot. But I'm looking at, just kind of listening to some of the things I've heard from some different, reporters for the practices, and regarding the scrimmage that happened this past week. I kind of examine what happened in terms of the offense, receivers and what have you. This, to me, is going to make them better. Like hearing how the secondary is playing, I'm actually glad, because I would be concerned if the offense was just running all over and scoring all over the secondary.
Yeah.
And we have to understand, like, the secondary is in a much better position because, the coach, Mickens, to me, he's been there for a minute. He's a little bit more established in his philosophy and how he's coaching the secondary, the corners. And so I think the system is more in place into what he wants, and therefore he's able to kind of get guys into a better, speed in terms of what he wants from them
Yeah.
more than Stuckey. I think Stuckey is like, he's trying to create that culture, but it's going to take, I think, just a little bit more work to get there because, we're dealing with a receiving room that has never really experienced that level, of competition. So I like to hear that the corners are beating up the wide receivers like that because it's going to force them to have to get better, especially considering that we play basically 90% of our teams are passing offenses. So this entire season, it's going to force these guys to have to get better. Now, I'm also saying that I'm being a former athlete. I've had teammates where they were garbage in practice. Not saying they were like garbage in terms of like their talent, but they never really practiced up to the par of expectation that the coach would want. But when we would get in the game, they would just dominate. They would kill it. And so you just sometimes have players like that where it's like practice is just like, I'm not saying going through the motions, but then at the same time, it's like you're not really going to the extent that you can really go to in terms of pushing yourself. But in the games, it's like a switch turns on, And so maybe for a guy like Merriweather, hearing that, okay, he's not really excelling the way that we would predict and during these practices, when he gets in the game, these could be some of the moments where like he gets in the game, it's like he's been going against basically arguably one of the top three, if not one of the best corner tandems in college football. So like now going to basically an average style corner and he just beats them every time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at that from just an objective view. Like that could be maybe what we right now are just trying to figure out like what are we going to see when we start watching these guys play. But I think that once we get into the season, I really feel like that's when the switch is going to start turning on for some of these guys.
And we need it. But it's like, but again,
we definitely need it.
You need it, but you end up in a position too where it's kind of similar to like blue and gold in spring practice, where like you get to blue and gold. And then if the defense does really great, you got to go, is it because the defense is really great or is it a problem with the offense? And then now we're in that again where it's like the defense is winning the day against the passing game. And it's like, well, does that mean they're really good? Or are the wide receivers behind? Or is there a blend of both? Is it a blend of both?
Well, but here's I'm going to play devil's advocate of that because, okay, from what we've all been told, the defense basically was whipping on the offense that Tuesday night. But, okay, the bottom line is that the next day they had another practice and they could have had another scrimmage. And guess what? None of us are really going to know exactly what happened in terms of who really won the next day because the offense could have turned around and been whipping on the defense.
Yeah.
We won't
caller, are you on speakerphone from the men's room at a large office building? Because the people think that you are.
I'm in my house, man. I have like a little space here in my house. Let me try to go in a place for a little bit more. Hear me better? Can you hear me better?
Yeah, there you go. That's a little better. People were having fun with that, trying to guess your location.
Yeah, man, I'm in my house, and being that it's a spacious place, that sometimes your voice can carry out a little bit.
Ooh, that's nice. I like that. We're living in luxury, man. We don't have no small little place here. We got a palatial estate. I like the sounds of it.
Hey man, if you live in Arizona, man, you gotta try to live it up, man.
There you go. Yeah, you gotta live it up inside, because if you go outside, you'll get zapped into the center of the sun, right?
I do 2 miles I run 2 miles every morning. So I get up about 5 in the morning. I run 2 miles, and I try to do that before the sun comes out because man, it gets hot out here, man. Like. Right after about noon to 1 o'clock, man, is when it just fries you, man. So I try to get my workout in the morning, then I go lifting in the evening, so I can get my workout in. But But yeah, man. Basically, when it comes to the guards, I just want somebody mean, man. Like, I need a Quentin Nelson guy to emerge out of this guard, one of these guards, man, because that's going to be the differential in us really like taking that next step forward as an offensive line, man. I gotta hear that somebody's getting mean. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Shroud. I don't care if it's Coogan. I don't care if it's
Yeah.
Family. I don't care who it is, man.
Just get it right. Get it right. Yeah.
And get it right, man. And somebody's got to be like that mean, nasty dude.
Yep.
Because if we can get one of those guys to emerge, man, like that is going to change the trajectory of this offensive line. But I don't want to see like, dude, in 2 weeks, I better be seeing some dudes get mauled, man. Like straight up, I'm gonna be pissed off because, like, number one, the bottom line is that we have too much talent on that line, man. Where like we should not having guys pushing us around, straight up. So I want to see somebody get nasty and get mean on that line, straight up. And that's going to help because, man, the running backs you have, man, I think where our advantage is really going to be is if we can get that line really to where I feel like it needs to be, man, with the running back stable that we have, we're going to wear down teams in the late times of the game when they expect us to do something crazy. If we can just be stabilized on the line and just keep running the ball, man, 6 yards here, 8 yards here, that's going to wear down defense. And that's where I think we were hurting when we played Ohio State the first game of the season. We didn't really have a running back stable where we could do what Ohio State did to us because they just basically said, we're just going to run down your throat. We're going to wear you down. And it's like watching a boxing fight, man. You get to the point where you in the late round, and whoever has more stamina and endurance is gonna win.
Yeah.
And so I think that for us, man, like we really have the advantage in that we have a room where we really can wear teams down. And that's why I say where Hartman can be better is that he doesn't have to like carry the entire team, the offense on his back like he did at Wake Forest, where he really was forced to have to throw more because he didn't really have a strong running back stable, and that's why I hope that he really understands that and utilizes that to his advantage, because that's going to be the differential in us really excelling in some of these bigger games we play this season.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. Let's flip it over to the other side of the ball. 616, you're coming up next. Hang with me. Flipping to the other side of the ball, I was worried about the defense. I was worried about the defensive front for a lot of reasons. All of the reports are very, very positive about Notre Dame's defense right now. And that D line, they're saying they're going to have a good rotation and be able to move guys in and some lesser known guys look like they're in great shape and they're flying around making plays. Where are you at on this defense? Are you wait and see or are you a believer right now?
I'm going to say like this, like to hear that they are being chirpy and they're getting after it, they're getting ugly with the offensive line is really encouraging because I think that is what is necessary to kind of build that chemistry together where they feel like they can go up against anybody and bring that same type of attitude, throughout the season. But it's going to have to be that every game, man. Like, if you're like that right now, if you like that right now, I need to see that same attitude when we play Ohio State, USC, Clemson, like NC State, all these games that is going to require our D-line to be disrupted and put pressure on the quarterback. Like, I need to see that because this year is really important for the defensive line to really be a vital part of the defense because of the type of offense that we're going against. We're going against more of a passing more passing style offenses this year. So we are really going to need for the defense to really be where I feel like they can be in terms of taking another step. We're going to have to rely on the defensive line to be disruptive, causing a lot of stunts and things of that magnitude, a lot of disruption, where it's going to put the quarterback on a pressure mode to have to scramble out, try to make force throws that can give our secondary guys better opportunities to get turnovers. Because when you think about it, some of the teams we played last year, when we were able to get them out of alignment, out of the pocket, and they're scrambling, trying to get a throw off, what happened? Benjamin Morrison. I mean, you got these guys I know where, that were able to get
up until LA. That guy ran around and he ran around and it always worked out for him.
Man, that can't happen this year, man.
Nope.
Like, we can't. It was pissing me off, man, that he was doing that, and that cannot happen this year. We have to be able to get at him. Like, I don't care if they give us a flag. I want to just knock the crap out of him at least a few times so he can understand, like, you're not just going to just sit back there and just throw or run around and throw us without feeling some type of pain. That's what Utah did. Yep. Utah hit Williams at least 2-3 times to let him know, like you gonna feel it tonight. And that started getting his head because he started anticipating like that he might get hit. And then all of a sudden it took like 1 or 2 guys in that line to kind of break down. And once the D line started getting at him, and man, it was over. Like they got him in his head, to make mistakes and to make stupid throws. And that's what we have to do, man, against USC. If we have any type of shot of beating them, we have to be able to get in his head. And so, that's going to be the difference of the defensive line stepping up. And with the depth that we're hearing, that really needs to be a strong point on that defense. Because I feel like our secondary can really be that X factor in terms of getting those turnovers if the D line does its job in being more disruptive. And also, man, our linebackers have to be assignment driven this year. We cannot have any ball assignments on, like, I'm telling you, man, like, Maris, if he's not hitting it, get him off the field, man. Put one of the freshmen in. Put the guys in that are going to make the play.
Hey, everybody tells me everything I read, they say these guys all have experience. They're going to be a strength on the team. Nobody other than these 3 guys knows where to be and how to.
I'm not trying to hear that.
I'm just telling you, every time I bring up questions about that group, the experts tell me you don't understand all the experience they have. There's a reason they're out there every play. Like, you only focus on the ones where they're in the wrong spot. I'm just telling you, everybody's saying they're going to be great, so they better be.
Well, they better be, because if Friedman tells us that he wants these guys, he's putting the pressure on the coordinators and the assistant coaches and what have you to put the best players out there and get all these players experience. I better see the best players on the field. Like, I don't want to see a guy that's constantly making mistakes, and because he's a veteran, well, we're just going to keep him out there because you don't trust the young guys. Well, what difference does it make? It's like, you don't have any other option. If the other guy is already messing up, you might as well give one of the young guys a shot. So I got to see that this year. Like, if the guy's not stepping up, put the best player out there. Like receivers. I mean, look, man, the bottom line is Flores, Greathouse, these guys, I told you way back in the spring, I said, these young guys coming in are not coming in to sit on nobody's bench. They are coming to take somebody's spot. It's a different attitude. And some of these older guys are seeing it. Like, I'm hearing things about Deion Coley not really having a great fall or even spring. And so the bottom line is, man, he's getting passed up.
Yeah.
And the younger guys are coming in and they're taking on the job, the idea that I am the guy.
Yeah.
And that's what we need, man.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah, you do. And, it's You got to recruit guys good enough physically that they can overrun some of those older guys. And I think Notre Dame's getting there. But if Flores and Greathouse end up being two of the main targets with Jaden Thomas and Merriweather's got to be a part of it. The body's too big and too big of a threat to not be. And then you got Tyree. You got Tyree out there.
Guy, man.
These guys aren't going to play. Colsey's passed up. Colsey's not even in the too deep rotation right now.
Colsey's passed up, man.
Yeah.
Colsey's passed up, man. I just honestly think that he's not going to be able to get back on it unless he has a magical turnaround where he really just something switches in his brain and he starts being a dog. He's done, man. I'm keeping on the table. Are coming in, and that comes to play, man. And they're gonna keep competing and pushing to be on the field. So, you know, that's what we needed, man. We need those type of players. I mean, look, Ohio State has it every year. They have a loaded wide receiver room, and the younger guys that come in are putting pressures on the veterans to let them know you're not safe. And that's what has been the problem with our teams over the years, that we haven't had good players come in to put pressures on the veterans and say, you're not safe. You know, and so I'm glad to hear some freshmen are in there putting pressure on these veterans and even passing them up, because it's just showing you like you're not safe. You know, now it's up to the coaches to react to that by putting the best players on the field. And that's what I'm looking for, man. You know, anything less than that is unacceptable in my opinion, because if we want to win, we got to put the best players on the field.
Yep. Nope. Hey, man, it's going to be interesting to see how it all breaks out. We have a lot of questions and no answers. Listen, man, I want you to stay cool out there. Don't toast up in the sun. All right.
I'm this, man. I'm still coming to the game, the Central Michigan game. So
beautiful.
I'll be there for the Central Michigan game.
Beautiful. And I'll let everybody know where we're going to be, and I'll have the flag up. It'll be easy to see, but you got to stop by for sure. All right, man.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Have a good one, man. Stay cool out of that sun.
You too, man.
See ya.
Definitely.
Dude, you guys, this show, every comment you guys were doing was funnier than the next one. But what a flex, too, by the way. What a flex when I'm like, dude, do you have the speakerphone on or what's going on? And when a guy says, it'd be different if he's like, I'm in the warehouse at work. No, the guy says, when you got a house this big, it echoes. What do you want me to do? What a great flex. I've never had a caller flex like that before. That was beautiful. That was funny as it could be. Oh, my God. And then somebody said he moved into the handicap stall and there's more echo room in there. Oh my God, I love this show most of the time. All right, 616 and then 707 after that. 616, you're in the mix. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, not a problem, Jeff. I can promise you I'm not in the toilet. So
now I know you are for sure. I know you are for sure. No, it's people.
No, first of all, I got in late. Did I hear Nolan Ziegler took some personal time off?
Yeah, he left camp early like a week ago, and he hasn't returned to campus. And they're just saying it's a personal situation. And nobody really has any information, but it honestly doesn't sound like he's planning on being back this year. So I don't know if that means, sometimes that means there's nothing wrong with him, but like a parent got a bad health diagnosis, like off the field family stuff you would want to be there for. I don't know any other way to take it other than he's on the program, on the team, but he's not going to be here all year. I don't know how to take it. Well, I have no idea.
My brother played at Catholic Central, and we know the coaching staff quite well. So I'll try to get some insight for you.
Yeah,
on that.
I got the feeling it wasn't him, but like a family thing he had to go tend to. And if you're not planning on being back for a year, that tells me it had to be pretty rough. So I don't know. I don't want to assume anything, but I do think it's weird that everybody's just like, oh yeah, he's gone. When's he coming back? Probably not this year, and nobody knows why. So that's weird to me. I have no idea.
Well, let's talk some football, John. So some of these questions that you brought up with the offensive line, I'm so sick of hearing about the gel thing.
You don't have that luxury.
Have to,
you don't have the time and the luxury to do it in college football. You better gel in the summer.
Well, they got enough practices in the spring and in fall camp that they should be gelled by that. It all comes down to heart and moving the guy across from you and having that meanness to drive your opponent back. And I seen it. I was at the Toledo game with my son, and I literally watched Toledo's smaller defensive line dominate our offensive line the entire game. And it was embarrassing. I don't know how else to say that. So it doesn't matter if you're a new starter, if you're an old starter, because the guards that were in that game against Toledo, guess what? They were starters. They had a ton of experience, and they were getting blown back. So it all comes down to, do you have the heart and the meanness to move the guy across from you? I don't care if they're 50 pounds heavier, 50 pounds lighter. The technique's the same. It's all about heart, and it's all about moving the guy across from you.
Just all of,
you can't do that.
I'm sure you will agree with this. The best offensive lineman Notre Dame's had, or that you could think of in general, they have that general hatred in their heart. Like the best guys that are O-linemen have that switch, that hate in their heart, where they're going to pile drive you into the ground every play, and they're never going to stop, and they're going to keep blocking you a quarter of a second after that whistle stops. Like all of that. And I want to give Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer all the, I don't know what he's going to do. He's new here. I haven't seen it. I want it to go well. I'm open to that. I'm encouraging him. I want it all to go well. All I know is those middle guys, you can't be weak in the middle. Whoever you go with, I don't care. Be ready to move people.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. One of your callers chatted, smaller line can do things bigger lines can't. That is true. But if you have the players in the middle that have the drive and have the willingness to move people, you can move. I don't care if they're smaller, quicker, bigger. It's the middle of the line. You're not talking the tackles on the outside where you have to have quicker feet to make sure they don't hit your quarterback.
Right.
If you do not have a strong interior line and push people, you're not going to run the football.
Yep.
It's just not going to happen.
Yep. And man, I don't want to be a jerk. Like, I understand that you're probably not totally in sync and everything's perfect week one. I don't expect Frank Leahy level perfection week one. But it can't be enough that you risk losing a game you shouldn't lose while you're getting your act together. And it just bothers me. There's no preseason. You got to be good enough that if you have a bunch you need to work on, you got to at least be able to win the game and then work on it. But you just can't. You can't afford for this not to be good. And so those middle three positions, you got to hold up.
You got to be mean too. You got to play with some kind of emotion, out there. You can't go the entire game and not have that, killer instinct to just demolish the guy across from you. You have to have that the entire game. I don't care. Like I said, once again, if it's Marshall, if it's Toledo, Central Michigan, Ohio State, you got to come into every game that you're going to dominate the guy across from you. I don't care if they're running stunts, twists. You're going to take the guy and you're going to just drive him to the ground. I mean, that's the attitude you have to play with the entire game. You cannot let these guys push you backwards like I've seen in the Toledo game. That was just so embarrassing.
Yep.
That was the first game I ever went to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, Notre Dame was almost a Brian Kelly special. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what else to say. Now, let me flip this to the other side. Let me flip this to the other side of the ball for you. when we went into the summer and spring and everything, O-line's always a concern for me. What are we going to be? Whatever. But defensively, I had worries too. How are you reacting to the reports from practice? The defense has pretty much dominated the offense, look really good. The defensive front has a deep rotation they're comfortable with. Think we might have the best corners we've had in 20 years. And the upperclassman linebacker ready to get home on every blitz this year. Everything sounds perfect. What do you make of the defensive reports?
I mean, it all sounds good, John, but I'm optimistic, but we got to get some of these better athletes in the game, more like Jalen Sneed. I mean, Sneed is a special talent, and I understand that Bertrand and Kaiser and Louisville all have tons of experience, but when you play these elite teams like the Ohio States and that, is the Bertrand and the Kaisers, are they talented enough to get the backs out of the backfield to cover the wheel routes because we got guys underneath them that do have the talent that can cover those guys. And I just hope this coaching staff realizes that, just because they have experience doesn't mean that, they're able to keep up with a guy coming out of the backfield, so we do have talent behind those guys. So what I make of I thought the media kind of blew that night scrimmage thing, 1 day, 2 hour thing they got to look at out of proportion. When I played football, first of all, Tyler Horka, he had an awesome break out. He was at the night scrimmage, and he said that it was 30 scripted pass plays first and then 30 scripted run plays. If the defense knows that you're going to pass 30 times in a row, and they already know your routes because they see it in practice all the time, that advantage heavily goes to the defensive backs because they know you're going to pass every play. Yeah. You're not doing a play action. You're not coming up to the line, running motions and misdirections. So I don't take anything out of that scrimmage that, our receivers, got outplayed by the DBs.
But see, that's the tricky part, though. That's the tricky part because we have limited access. The media doesn't get to see everything. We have no games going on. So when there's a 2-hour practice, they have to report what they're seeing, but then it's hard for the fans not to extrapolate that to be what it is for sure for the whole year. And that's where the fans have to really use their minds and parse this out and say, this is one window at a time into the whole practice month and everything. And you're seeing this one little droplet at a time. I don't know where it falls. That's why we just need the games to start.
That's right. I can't wait. But as far as the effort, though, there was a couple where Tyler said, the ball was right to Colsey, or, Hartman dropped in a drop shoulder ball and he just dropped it. Those are plays that you got to make. That has nothing to do with scripted plays. Yeah. That's just effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So concentration, fundamentals, making sure you're in a position, all of that.
Yeah. I'm more concerned about the effort that I'm seeing with the wide receivers right now than them not getting open, because that's going to all get corrected when they're running misdirection and the defense that we're playing doesn't know what we're running. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's going to separate. Yeah. That's going to get them some separation. But when the ball is thrown to you, you have to come up with the catch. I mean, especially if you're 6'5", I don't know if he's strong enough yet. I kind of looked at his arms and some of the videos, and he doesn't look really ripped yet, really toned. And I heard some of the reports from the media is that, they feel he's not strong enough yet. I hope that's not the case. But we really need Tobias to, he really needs to come down with those balls, and concentrate. And because that's going to open up the run, that's going to open up the pass.
Yeah, and it's going to make it, if he could be the big body threat and at least be the threat of it, that'll also help Flores and Greathouse get going, because he can suck up some of that attention with that bigger body. If he's in the mix and he's a threat, it helps everything. And it's his time, because if he doesn't do it this year, guess what? The younger guys are going to pass, just like they already passed Colsey up. They're going to pass him up too. Maybe he could become a red zone threat and you throw him a fade or something, but It is his time. You could be Notre Dame's star receiver here with the quarterback that can make all the throws. If that don't excite you to get your mind right, I don't know what can.
Oh yeah, and I definitely think out of all the freshmen, Greathouse is going to get a ton of playing time this year. That kid is a absolute stud. I watched him run routes already. He's got the body type, the size. I know he's a freshman, but that kid came from a Texas league that was highly competitive.
Yeah.
And he's seen good athletes, and he's going to be a fun one to watch on the field this year because, I mean, you already seen a little glimpse of him in the blue goal game, what he can do, but I'm excited to see what that kid can do this year.
So what do you think about Navy, man? We're about to wrap up the camp portion of this, and then we will get into starting the Navy prep specifically. Are you have some anxiety about it being with the travel and game one, you know, and they have a new coach. You don't quite know what you're going to get. Are you a little concerned that what we did the second half last year we might see it again where we almost lost? Or do you just think we're all in our own minds over it because it's first game and Notre Dame will be just fine?
You know, I watched Navy's press conference with their captains and that new coach, and I'll be honest, John, I am a little concerned. I mean, they seem fired up, and you know, yeah, it's the first game, but you know, they didn't seem like, oh, we're going to Ireland to play Notre Dame. They're like, we'll do it tomorrow, is what one of the guys said. So I just hope Notre Dame is ready to go and ready, because I'm telling you, last year we dominated them in the first half, and they came back in the second half, and we didn't play a full 4 quarters. And I think if, you know, first games, you never know what's going to happen too, because like you said, it's the first game. You don't get practices, you know, and scrimmages against other teams. So they need to come out. They need to come up with an offensive identity right away. They need to punch the guys in the mouth across from them. And then we need to be able to run play action, misdirection, and be able to run the football against guys that are undersized than us, a smaller line.
Yeah.
If
Then it becomes proper technique, knowing your assignment. Like, it's not going to be like a physical situation. It's more of a brain situation, knowing what they're going to do. They're going to stunt, they're going to move, they're going to do all this stuff. Navy is going to try and confuse Notre Dame's interior O-line. They are going to challenge those new guards. They're going to be trying to confuse them and all that. Playing Navy for Notre Dame is more of a mind game than it is physical half the time. Like, you're not going to get pushed back by Navy. You need to know what they're going to do to stop what they're going to do, though. It's a unique vibe playing Navy, and that's why I always say I don't like it. It is my least favorite game Notre Dame plays every year. It's this one. Get it out of the way week 1.
I agree, and you got to be mentally sound in your fits and where you're positioned, because they run all that misdirection. You know,
I thought you were going to say the fans. I thought you were going to say the fans got to be mentally sound. Looks like I'm out. Looks like count me out on that one. You said you got to be mentally sound. I hope that doesn't apply for the fans, because I think I'm out. That ship has sailed, buddy.
I think I've been out 10 years ago,
John. Yeah, that ship has sailed. Notre Dame's made us nuts. That ship's long sunk.
Yeah, like I said, I'm 42, and the last national championship was '88, so I've got to endure, you know, the Willingham years, the Weiss years.
Yeah, see, you got a handful of years over me, so that means you're a little older to remember some of those nightmares, and I was a little younger. Yeah, it's so I don't know, man. The Navy thing could be tricky. Here's what I always say. It could be tricky playing Navy if Notre Dame allows it to be tricky to play Navy. And I genuinely mean that. So much of Notre Dame taking care of Navy has to do with our prep, where our minds are at, knowing our assignments, being disciplined. Like, a lot of it comes down to what we do more than them. And I know that comes off as degradation. I don't mean it as a negative, but it's a reality to me.
No, it's like playing a wing T high school offense. If the defense isn't in their fits, they're going to get blown out by these wing T offenses. It's not because I've seen teams in high school where the defenses 100% more talented and bigger than the wing T offense, but they're not in their right positions. They're not in the right fit.
And then it doesn't matter if you're bigger. You get shredded.
Yeah, because it's mental, like you said. So I think if Notre Dame comes in and their gap assignments and their fits are right and they play hard, I see him blowing them out.
Will,
wait.
I got a question from Will here, and I'll throw it to you. It's a very good one. 707, you're coming up next. Will asks, why does ND allow inferior teams to push them around? What a fantastic question. I've asked that every time Kelly had teams that no-showed and acted tough and got bullied, whether it's 17 Miami, 19 Big House, or the Toledo nightmare, the Ball State almost nightmare. Why does it happen when it happens? Are we just not prepared for what they're going to try and do? Is it a physical lack of preparedness? Is it a mental thing? What would you answer? That's a really good question.
I think
it's a good question.
I think it's a really good question. When I was at the Toledo game, they had that Kane Madden guy, the transfer that they brought in. He was one of the guards in that game, and he just got absolutely destroyed the entire game. And I think it was physical and mental. I think it was both. I don't know how to answer. I mean, that's a good question, but I was getting so frustrated.
So are my challenges. All right, they're both. Leave me alone.
Kane Madden, though, I mean, I don't know if they promised him because he was a transfer to start, but that guy was so slow on moving his feet. That was one problem. And I mean, every play they were getting pushed back into the quarterback, and it was just, I'm like, this is Toledo. You guys are allowing Toledo to push us backwards.
Yeah. Andrew Gilmore brings up a good point, and it's something I've been talking about this summer as well. He says, I disagree. The inferior teams don't push Indy around. Last year, nobody had any respect for our receivers, so they just put 9 in the box. Again, I've been saying Sam Hartman being here forces defenses to have to play Notre Dame more straight up, more honestly, and worry about things on the intermediate and deeper part of the field. That alone, that threat alone should help everything with Notre Dame. You should be able to have more running lanes. They can't just stop the run on early downs, guard the tight end, and get off field. It's got to help us. Does it not?
It does. Having Sam Hartman definitely helps because he can throw the ball down the field. We haven't had a quarterback that can throw the ball down the field since it's been a while. I mean, even Ian Book didn't take a lot of shots down the field.
Yeah, I don't count that. What do you want to go back to Clausen or like Kaiser? Maybe Kaiser. I think Kaiser. I like the way Kaiser threw a deep ball.
Kaiser threw the ball. Yeah, Kaiser had a good arm. I mean, he was a good athlete.
Kaiser made you worry he could beat you over the top, and just that threat alone helped. No, defenses have to play Notre Dame straight up. Anything else, my friend? Really good talk today. Appreciate you calling. Anything on the way out?
Just one thing. I love your show, John. I love your enthusiasm. It really cracks me up when I'm at work here.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And some of these people are like, oh, John, your shtick is getting old. I can assure you there is no shtick. Whatever you see is what I'm really dealing with. Like, people think I literally write a note, like a bullet point. Yell about this, start sweating. Like, no, man. It just comes out whenever things come out. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, great show again, John. And like I said, I hope we go over to Ireland, and I hope we take care of business like we should, and come back with a W. And I hope the receivers play well. I hope the line plays well, and I'm pretty sure the defense is going to show up.
Beautiful, man. I appreciate that. Hey, we're going to go live tomorrow night for After Dark. Feel free to tune in then and call again soon, okay?
All right. Thanks, sir.
Have a good one. I like it when people call me from work. Like, it's so beautiful, man. You may as well get paid while you're listening to Notre Dame talk. I like the sounds of that. 707, what's going on today in sunny California?
Yes, sir. Joe Long here. Hang on a second, okay?
All right.
Okay. I'm doing much better now.
Hey, you know I'm cutting that up and we're using that one. You know I'm cutting that up. Oh my God, what a great way to end this show. That was beautiful, my friend. That was an artist touch. That was beautiful. Good job. I just hope it's not overflowing. I hope it's manageable. That's all I hope. I don't want you to have to plunge it out. Oh my God.
Oh no, I bought a toilet that could flush 25 golf balls at it.
Oh man. Oh geez. I don't want to know. I don't even want to know why you felt you needed that kind of power. All right. We're gonna move away from that, but that was hilarious. And I am gonna cut that up and use it. And nobody else will know that it's a joke and they'll think it's real. You know I'm using that. All right.
With my blessing.
Let's talk about football. What do you feel?
Yeah, you know what I was going to say?
Let's hear it. I'd love to know. I'd love to know.
Well, you know, I don't understand. Who'd you say the guy was that was blaming Notre Dame for the conference realignment?
Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen was out there going, no, blame Notre Dame for this. If they were just get in, it could have solved all these problems.
And that's the thing is, okay, Dan, if Notre Dame joins the conference, is that all of a sudden going to correct everything?
Yeah, I don't know.
What would happen? You know, like Notre Dame would join a conference. All of a sudden, all the problems are solved? I don't think so.
But it rubs me the wrong way that I feel like in the midst of all these people burning their own conference members for a bigger check, Notre Dame's the consistent one. Like how we're not the ones playing games, blindsiding our conference and our conference other members and leaving them to burn in the dust. Like if anything, I respect Notre Dame more for that because our position doesn't change and therefore it makes it easier to navigate around it because you just know what Notre Dame's going to be.
Yeah, it was just a stupid comment. I mean, if he's blaming Notre Dame for the woes of the NCAA.
And he was saying, he was also blaming the conference leadership, saying that group needs to quit playing nice with Notre Dame and tell them if you don't join, you're not able to be in the playoff. And then just end it all. And they all gang up against Notre Dame and say, you're either in a conference or you're not eligible. Make your choice. And then Notre Dame would join. But they don't do that because they all respect the value Notre Dame brings, even as an independent, and they want to play nice with them. And nobody else around the country likes that because they all hate us.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you talk blue bloods, they're what made college football into what it is today, which is sad in a way, you know, because of the money thing. But when you have a team like Notre Dame that the whole country either loves or hates, that's what grows the sport because you're tuning in.
Yep. And it moves the needle. And so I don't know, man, it just really rubbed me the wrong way when I'm like, dude, we're the ones you can rely on, you know, right where we're going to be. I would have more frustration with like what Texas and Oklahoma did leaving the Big 12. And now Stanford doesn't have a home. This prestigious academic institution doesn't have a home. But no, it's Notre Dame's problem for minding our own business. It's our problem. We mind our own business and it's our fault.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the huge shocker was Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC. I mean, that just started the unraveling. And then you have like 3,000 miles away, USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten, you know?
Yeah.
It just makes no sense. I mean, it's just all about money. And I heard the University of Washington president, some woman saying how it's really there for exposing the kids all around the country, you know? And it's like, no, honey.
Yeah.
That's not what it was.
No,
you did a money grab.
No, it's a money grab. And you're ruining the geographic nature of these conferences, and you have all the travel complications. Like, call it what it is. It was just all about getting the biggest. Right. It was all about getting the biggest money deal. And by the way, I mean, Notre Dame hasn't announced their deal yet, but I'm very, very confident they're going to get a good one with Bavacqua in the mix. and hearing no reports that Notre Dame's looking to join any of these conferences, it tells me one thing. They know they're going to get a good TV deal that allows them to do it this way and stay competitive.
Yeah, if Notre Dame put themselves up for grabs and just said to NBC, we're going to see, what our options are. And you can't tell me that ESPN or Fox or CBS is not going to love the idea of having Notre Dame home games.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. I think Notre Dame's in a pretty good spot right now. If you got the good apparel money, even though we don't love the brand, and you have access to the playoff, which we do until they change that or try and force our hand, and you're going to get a good TV deal. So therefore, Notre Dame has no reason or obligation to feel like they have to join a conference whatsoever. Can we talk about Navy? Can we turn it to Navy for a minute, man?
Sure.
Are we over worrying about Navy? And at the same time, I say that last year happened. We would have lost that game. It went on a few more minutes. So I don't think I'm talking crazy by having some concern. But are we overblowing this Navy game because it's the first game, so it's getting all this magnified focus?
Yeah, well, no matter who you play, you have to show up, and that's why the games are played, right? So there's always going to be concern, for every possible outcome of, each play. So, you have to have a concern about every opponent you play, especially if you're Notre Dame, because that's everyone's season. They want, you can't tell me North Carolina State, who's going to have a very good team defense. They're the team I'm most worried about. I can play because I know the players will be up for Clemson at Clemson. I know they're going to be for USC because they lost.
Yeah.
And Ohio State, you can't tell me that they're not going to be sky high for that.
Yeah. So
when you talk about trap games, these are the teams that say our season is going to be made beating Notre Dame.
Yep.
So these are the Louisvilles and Wake Forest is going to be.
Yeah,
you can't tell me they're not.
It's Louisville. It's Louisville. It's Pitt. It's Duke, and it's NC State primarily.
I know, and if you look at their combined winning seasons last year, I mean, Pittsburgh. These are good teams that everyone wants to beat us. So, more so than other teams, and that's just the way it's always been.
Yep.
And so I'm used to that. So. As long as the players understand that, just come out crazed dogs, as Lawrence Taylor said.
I always call it the Notre Dame Super Bowl effect, where for most teams, with very few exceptions, maybe Ohio State is an exception because the Michigan rivalry will trump playing Notre Dame. But for most teams, especially any of them that are not national brands, they have it circled on their schedule, and Notre Dame cannot afford to just overlook them. They got it circled all year. That is their chance on the big screen, on the big TV channel, in a big stadium, and they're going to go beat Notre Dame, and if they build their whole year around it. Notre Dame doesn't have enough raw talent yet that they could sleepwalk through those games and still win them.
And that's what Lou Holtz understood. He made every week in the most important game of his career,
Yeah.
Because he understood how everyone looks to Notre Dame to beat, that's the team. That's everyone, my feeling towards Ohio State, until we beat them, credibility is the thing, so these teams that want to come in and play us, or we go there to play, they want the credibility of beating Notre Dame, even in their history, they'll put it up in whatever their showroom is of showing Notre Dame, beating Notre Dame. It's every kid's career that have played at these lesser schools, lesser power schools.
Yeah. And so I don't know, man, you got to get to Ohio State 4-0. NC State, I got a feeling when I do my preview, I am going to say this is one of those games where I am not going to throw a fit over pretty points. You need to make sure you find a way to grind out a win and just keep it moving. That could be one of those days where you just need to fight your way through and get a win. And it's a game that isn't going to be circled. It's not going to get big media attention. Those are the ones that'll sneak up on you on a Saturday if you're not ready.
Yeah, and really, still the concern for me is our offensive coordinator. Like he's the guy that is the wild card that we just don't know enough about. What's his head like in game situations? Does he choke? Does he go with safety? Does he risk?
Yep.
There's a whole lot of things that
Man,
is untested with him.
it's really interesting you brought that up. I've been thinking about that too. We really haven't seen his mentality in action yet. What's the run pass balance like? What's the short yardage play calling like? How willing are they to gamble on 4th and short situations? What do they want the red zone offense to look like? What is the governor to like push it versus slow it down with what you're doing on offense? Like, all of these are big picture issues we don't have answers to for Parker yet. And we're going to have to see how it goes. Now, with these running backs and that quarterback and whatever, he should have a lot of options available to him. But all of that minutia of in-game offensive coordinating, we don't know what it's going to be, but it's got to be good. However it goes, I don't care, but it's got to be good enough.
Yeah, I was just watching because I can't take it waiting for football. So I watched the ACC channel just to scout the teams we're coming up against. And but for some reason I was watching the Rose Bowl last year, Penn State and was it Utah? Yeah, Utah. And I was just like, we could have had Ludwig. It's like, how did that slip through our fingers?
Yeah.
This would have been the creme de la creme of our worries. Like if
there
you
were
get
mistakes.
a guy like that at OC.
There were mistakes made. And I actually, you know what, man? I actually did get some more information about that when I was on campus a couple weeks ago. Maybe I'll email you because there was a couple things there I got clarification on. So maybe I'll email you and fill you in on all that I've heard about that because it does make sense, but I got more details. So maybe I'll let you know.
Yeah, good. Well, I would like that. But also, one of the concerns too, like I'm pretty much trusting in Al Golden, but then again, he let a guy, Prince Collie, get away. And that could have been a really good piece this year. Instead of Kaiser, playing in the middle for him would have been pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
And then have Snead on the outside and Bertrand and Botelho.
Yeah.
I mean,
now
it would have looked.
Now there is some historical track record of, year 1 to year 2 of a defensive coordinator. By year 2, things settle down a little more and they tighten things up. I am open to that there'll be a tighter put together unit. Getting off the field on third downs, that needs to get better. Those blitz packages, that needs to get tightened up. We all know that. And then most offensive to me is, I can't believe I'm saying it again. Notre Dame was dead last in the entire country of 130 teams in allowing touchdowns. When the other team gets in the red zone, we were dead last. That makes
brutal.
It makes no physical sense. That Notre Dame's talent and that defense was not bad overall. But then when we get in the red zone, what do we just olay and let them go right in? Something's wrong.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, that's an incredible statistic.
It is. I don't even know how it's possible when you have an overall defense that was pretty decent and the talent we had. That something went horrible there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, that's a serious question, but I think that every coach on defense is aware of that situation and that statistic. So I think that they're going to really focus.
Yeah, tighten it up.
Yeah,
packages, personnel, something.
I mean,
I don't think I get the feeling that's the thing where you don't have to change that much to get a big result difference. Change your structure, change your personnel. Like something down there you were set up in was setting you up to fail, and they kept doing it. So I don't know.
Another thing about that though is that last year Golden really, what I liked a lot about him was that he used a lot of different people. So, like he didn't have the quality that he's going to have this year. This backup units, and I think that's why they're talking about the strength of Notre Dame is because these second teamers can come in and play and not really drop off very much. That's how good they are. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be play a role in the way he calls defenses and mixes people in and out. Now you're going to have, sophomores and juniors that had a lot of playing time that aren't even starters yet. So
Yeah.
I think you're going to have a lot of depth and being able to use that kind of mentality of, a lot of players playing and the quality of players that are going to be coming in are going to be a lot better than what they used to be. So
yeah, and
I'm looking forward to that.
And I do think you are starting to see now, even after a couple cycles, the talent kind of start to settle into where more of a percentage of younger guys can move up and challenge the depth chart sooner than what we're used to. And that is the tide that rises all ships. Having younger guys that come in early and in their first couple of years, they could get in the too deep, challenge the older guys. Like that is where you start to see that blue chip ratio start to emerge and show itself. And so I don't know.
Not only that, but that one clip you uploaded of Freeman going off.
I loved it.
I love that. That's setting a tone for these young kids that are freshmen and sophomore coming in, and hearing him yelling and getting crazy and saying one-on-ones or not ones versus ones. That's setting a tone as a coach. So I love that.
I'm telling you, I have felt this camp has been a little more physical and intense than a lot of the ones I remember when we walked through the humidity of August like a slog. These guys are flying around and there's a lot of energy and intensity. And I love it the way I'm wired. I'm drawn to that and I love that. But if you play like crap against Navy, it's worthless. So all I'm saying is I love it right now, but you better make it pay off.
Exactly. I've had enough of that brotherhood and all that love between these offensive linemen who are just like,
just crack somebody's head.
Crack
somebody's head.
Love it. Yeah, when you go to church, you love your brother. But when you're out on the field, you're playing to take someone's head off so that you can start.
Yeah.
And you can beat some heads other than your own team.
Yeah. Nope. I'm with you, my friend. Hey, thanks for touching base. Anything else on the way out?
No, I think I might have to do a final.
But wait, does this mean wait a second, does this mean you've been talking to me from sitting on the toilet or in the bathroom the whole 20 minutes?
That's it, brother.
Oh my God. Today was a fun show. I feel like we're getting some excitement here, man. People are waking up. This is beautiful. Hey, thanks a lot, my friend. We'll go live tomorrow night. So if you're not doing anything, grab a beer, tune in or call in. All right.
Okay, and then you, if you get a chance, email me that info because I'd be interested.
Yeah, I will. I will do that, my friend. I'll try and remember to do that today. But take care. Have a good weekend. All right.
All right. God bless and go Notre Dame.
Oh, there you go. Go Irish now and forever. ND Irish Gaming. How's our tight end room look this year? It would look a lot better if these guys weren't banged up. Like Raritan, like we just guys that are kind of banged up. I am going to say this. I'll make this prediction of the tight ends this year. I think Holden Stays might break out this year. I am not saying he's going to be Michael Mayer part 2. I am saying I think that guy's going to open a lot of eyes and he's going to be a name that everybody around Notre Dame starts to recognize. I think he could be a weapon up the seam. He has the receiving skills of a wide receiver and not a tight end. And I love that. So I'm not saying that it's going to replace Michael Mayer or any of that, but I'm just saying I think Holden Stays. This could be the year he really breaks out. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. And then you have Evans and whatever else. Stays is the one, though, in camp that I'm hearing looks like he's turning into a big weapon. And I can't wait to see it. All right, folks, that's going to be it. This was hilarious. A lot of energy here. I'm going to have to cut up some of these clips and use them for other things because some of this was hilarious. Thank you, everybody that called, everybody that chatted, everybody that donated, everybody who hits thumbs up. I appreciate all of it. And then you know the deal. We'll see you tomorrow night on the late night show. Let's see what we get then. Have a good day.